Enroll your child to the manifested e-learning platform and see their grades grow tremendously. These videos can be downloaded to a laptop for offline viewing or viewed from a smartphone in a cost-friendly format.
How are you, everyone? Welcome to our today's science lesson. The topic is food and nutrition. And learners, we continue with the subtopic on preservation of food. Today, we want to study the how to properly store food, what I'm going to call proper food storage. Proper food storage. Learners, proper food storage means keeping food safe and clean. Keeping food safe and clean. Proper storage means what? Means keeping food safe and clean. The food should be protected from insects, from rodents, and other substances that may contaminate the food. Learners, because food that is stored properly can stay for a long period of time without going bad. So in our today's lesson, we are going to learn some of the ways in which we can use to store food properly. So learners, welcome to the lesson. The subject is science. Food and nutrition is the topic, and the subtopic is proper food storage. Proper food storage. Just to remind you, in last lessons under the same topic, we have learned how to preserve food using the traditional methods and also the modern methods. Today we want to study proper food storage. We are going to learn the ways in which you can use to properly store food. And I've just said that proper food storage means keeping food safe and clean. Proper food storage means proper food storage means keeping food safe and clean. Keeping food safe and clean. The food should be protected from insect pests, rodents, and other substances that may contaminate it. Learners, the food should be protected from insect pests. The food should be protected from insect pests, rodents like rats, and other substances that can contaminate it. Now learners, food that is stored properly, meaning food that is kept safe and clean, stays for a longer period of time without going bad. So learners, the following are some of the ways we can use to properly store food. We are going to study or explain or state some of the ways that can be properly be used to store food. Number one, learners, all food should be stored away from any poisonous substances. All food should be stored away from any poisonous substance. All food should be stored away from any poisonous substance. From any poisonous substance. From any poisonous substance. And also and chemicals, learners, to avoid contamination. Substance from any poisonous substance and chemicals to avoid contamination. Right? Then number two, learners, the containers used to store food. The containers used to store food should be kept in, should be kept clean. Should be done what? Should be kept clean and tightly covered to prevent entry of germs. The containers, learners, we know that food, remember when we are discussing the methods, we say that food can, for example, be stored in cans when you are using the canning method of preserving food. So the cans should be clean. We say that when storing food by use of, say, honey. Remember, we said that honey can be put in a bucket and food dipped into the honey. So learners, the bucket that is holding the honey should be clean. So the containers used to store food should be kept clean. The containers used to store food should be kept clean. Should be kept clean and tightly covered. And tightly covered to avoid entrance of germs. To avoid entrance of germs. To avoid entrance of germs, or I can say to prevent. To prevent entry of germs. To prevent entry of germs. The containers, and this should also include when you are using modern methods, learners, this can also include the refrigerators. When you are storing food in refrigerators, then the refrigerators, learners, should also be kept clean. Okay? If you are using, say, the cool rooms, the cool rooms should be kept clean, learners. If you are using deep freezers, the deep freezers should be kept clean. The refrigerator should be locked or closed. If you are using containers like buckets and other containers to store food, the containers must be kept clean. They should be tightly sealed to avoid entrance of germs. So these are two ways. Then number three, learners, foods that go bad easily or quickly. Foods that go bad easily, learners, should be kept in refrigerators. food that go bad easily. Foods that go bad easily should be kept in refrigerators. Food that go bad easily should be kept in refrigerators or stored for a shortest time possible, or stored for the shortest time possible. Not everyone has refrigerators. If you don't have refrigerators, then don't buy a lot of food, okay? Don't buy a lot of food like vegetables. Buy food that will last for a short period of time, shortest period of time. Foods that go bad easily like vegetables, like fruits, like meat, like fish, like milk should be stored for the shortest time possible. Otherwise, keep the food in refrigerators. Alternatively, learners, I showed you how to dry vegetables. I showed you how I do it in my house. Right? I have dried vegetables in my house. Those ones can last for more than 1 year. So either have the food in refrigerators or use the traditional methods. All right, you can use traditional methods to store the food for a long period of time. But you need to understand that food that go bad easily should be kept in refrigerators or be stored for the shortest time possible. I've given examples of such food: meat, fish, vegetables, milk, and also cooked foods. Foods that are cooked do not last for long. So such food should be stored for a short time, and then you consume the food. Or if you are not consuming the food, then you can use refrigerators to store the food. Okay? Learners, and I've said another way, learners, is that where there are no refrigerators, learners, the foods should be stored in cupboards. Should be stored in cupboards. Should be stored in cupboards. When I was growing up, we used to call it cupboard. Okay, but it's cupboards. Cupboards that are fitted should be stored in cupboards that are fitted with mesh to allow circulation of air. If you have cooked food, then make sure the cupboard, especially the front part, should be covered with the mesh, so that is the mesh wire, so that can allow the free circulation of air inside the cupboard. Then number four, the fourth way in which we can store food properly, learners, is in relation to fresh fruits and vegetables. Fresh fruits and vegetables should be stored in a well-aerated vegetable racks. What did I say? I said a point, learners. I'm going to repeat. Fruits and vegetables should be stored in well-aerated vegetable racks. Fresh fruits fresh fruits and fresh vegetables should be stored in a well aerated racks. All right, well aerated racks should be stored in a well aerated racks, and the racks should be kept in a cool place. The racks should be kept in a cool place. Should be kept in a cool place. Learners, I'm now going to show you a rack on your screen. That is the rack I'm talking about. You can see the front part of the rack. You can see it has it is well aerated. The rack I'm talking about is the one you are now seeing. You can see how air can easily flow inside. Learners, do you see it? All right. So let's move on to point number 5. Number 5, learners. I've explained how fresh fruits can be and vegetables can be stored properly, and now I want to explain how dried foods can be stored properly. Now, learners, dry foods such as flour and grains, when you have, say, maize flour, learners, and that is dry food. When you have grains like beans that have been dried, that is dry beans. So dry foods and flour. Dry foods such as flour and grains should be kept, should be put in clean packets. Should be put in clean packets and stored in dry places. Clean packets. Learners, talking about dry foods. Dry foods such as flour, such as flour and grains, such as flour and grains should be put in clean packets. Should be put in clean packets. Should be put in clean packets and kept in dry places and stored in dry places and stored in dry places. Now you can see again on your screen the packets I'm talking about. Those are packets that you can use to store dry foods. Those are clean packets that can be used to do what? To store food. So when you have dry foods, you store them in such packets, okay? In such packets. Then learners, number 6, we want to remember we are discussing ways we can use to properly store food, and these methods that we've mentioned, these ways mentioned was in relation to small amounts of food. How do you store large amounts of food? Now, learners, large amounts of food such as cereals and grains, okay, large amounts of cereals and grains should be stored in granaries. Learners, large amounts of cereals and grains. Large amounts of what? Of cereals and grains should be kept in granaries. Should be stored in granaries. Should be stored in what? In granaries or in food stores, or what we call food stores, or in food stores, or in food stores, or in food stores. And learners, these granaries and food stores should be fitted with metal deflectors. The granaries and the food stores should be fitted with metal deflectors. Should be fitted with metal deflectors. What is the purpose of metal deflectors? Now, the purpose of fitting the granaries and food stores with the metal deflectors, learners, is to keep off rats and other rodents. To keep off rats and other rodents. Okay. To keep off rats and other rodents. So learners, large amounts of cereals and grains should be stored in granaries or in food stores. And these granaries and food stores, learners, also, they should be raised above the ground. Okay? The granaries and the food stores should also be raised above the ground. Let me write that point. It's very important. That granaries and food stores should be raised above the ground. And learners, what is the importance of raising food stores and granaries above the ground? The purpose is to keep off moisture. To do what? To keep off moisture from the ground. Because remember, we said it's this moisture that causes food to go bad. And when drying food, learners, the purpose is to remove the moisture so that the food can stay longer. So when constructing food granaries and food stores, learners, ensure that they are raised above the ground. So at home, when you see, when you are constructing a granary, learners, you can advise that let us raise it above the ground. Do you now understand why you are going to school? You are going to school so that you can get knowledge that you can apply at home. So at home, when you see your parents or your guardians are building granaries and they are not raised above the ground, you tell them, come on, look here. Science teaches that granaries that are raised above the ground allow the food that is stored in the granaries not to get moisture. All right? So learners, I now want to show you the granaries I'm talking about. On your screen, you can see the granaries, learners, and the granaries are raised above the ground. They should not be on the ground. They are raised above the ground, and also they are fitted with metal deflectors. Down there you can see metal deflectors. So those metal deflectors help in keeping off rats and other rodents. The granaries are also lifted above the ground to keep off moisture. So when you have large amounts of cereals and grains learners, you can have them stored in granaries and food stores. And when constructing the granaries and food stores, ensure that they are raised above the ground, and also they are fitted with metal deflectors. So these are 6 ways, learners, in which food can be stored properly. We have learned today 6 methods. The first one, first of all, we defined proper food storage. We said proper food storage means keeping food safe and clean. Then we learned that the food should be protected from insects, rodents, and other substances that can contaminate the food. We mentioned that food that is stored properly can stay for a longer period of time without going bad. Then we have discussed 6 ways in which we can properly store food. Number 1, all food should be stored away from any poisonous substances and chemicals to avoid contamination. Number 2, the containers used to store food should be kept clean and tightly covered to prevent entry of germs and moisture. Number 3, foods that go bad easily should be kept in refrigerators or stored for the shortest period of time. Now, maybe some of you have not seen a refrigerator. Let me show you a picture of a refrigerator on your screen now. You can see that is a domestic refrigerator, small refrigerator. That is a small refrigerator that can be used for storing amounts of food for the family. So that is refrigerator. So let's move on to point number 4. Fruits. Fresh fruits, we said, and vegetables should be stored in well aerated racks. The racks should be kept in a cool place. Maybe some of you have never seen a rack. Let me show you a picture of a rack, food rack. You can see, learners, how it is well aerated. There is enough space for air to penetrate. Okay, the purpose of aeration is to ensure that there is space for the air to penetrate. Okay, because we are talking of fresh fruits. When you are storing fresh fruits require air, all right, for them to remain fresh. So the racks should be well aerated. So that's why you can see the racks have spaces. Then we discussed dry foods such as flour, grains, and we said that such food should be kept clean, should be put in clean packets and stored in dry places. I showed you the example of packets that can be used to keep food clean. Then lastly, we have discussed the large amounts of cereals and grains. We've said that these should be stored in granaries and also in food stores. We stated that granaries, learners, and food stores should be done what? Should be raised above the ground to keep moisture away, and also they should be fitted with metal deflectors to keep off rats and other rodents, So that will mark the end of our today's lesson. So go through the video again, then answer the following questions. These are revision questions. questions. So these are 4 questions. Question 1, learners, fruits and vegetables should be kept in dash places. 2, all food containers should be kept dash and tightly covered. Number 3, food stores should be kept dash to keep off moisture. 4, metal deflectors in granaries are used to keep off dash. When answering the questions, learners, I repeat, just as I've been saying throughout, that you should not copy directly from the notes when answering the questions. When answering these questions, make sure your exercise book is closed. Try and answer the questions from your memory. After answering, you can now then compare what you have done with the notes. If you find that you do not remember everything correctly, you can refer to the notes. Then take another attempt, but while answering, close the exercise book, answer the questions from your memory. That is how we learn. Thank you for your attention. In our next lesson, we continue to learn more about science.
Thank you for choosing to study with us. For more information, you can call us on 0724 173845.